Slurp-de-derp, my little mangoes. Man's been a bit unwell, just a little bit of a cold, but I'm still delivering the goods to you today, so don't worry. Hello? Oh, hi, Nan. How are you? It's been a while. Yeah, I can't really talk right now. I'm in Colombia. With the cart at Nan, it's not like that anymore. It's different these days. It's a lot safer. Yeah, can I call you back? Because I'm literally about to make an explosive sound in my the explosive vital bass. Thanks, Nan. Thanks. Anyway, that was one piece of fruit. Here's another one. Yeah, what we doing? Making music, vital, drum and bass, neurofunk, artifacts, YouTube, that kind of stuff. Yeah, actually, what I've made today is a bass which I've forgotten the name. It's a Guacharaca. Guacharaca. I've been getting my Guacharaca on, boys. It's a serious thing. Guacharaca, for those of you who don't know, it's a Colombian native native instrument. Native instruments. No. It's an instrument that's native to Colombia, and it's used in a lot of the traditional music. And you've probably heard it before. It's like a guiro. It's one of those things that you scrape, like a metal scraper. Well, it sounds wicked. What I did was I found a nice sample of it, and I flexed it to fit over a drum and bass beat, so you can use it as a sort of percussion layer, which sounds really, really cool. Shout out to Princess Leia. And this mango's not quite ripe yet. That's why I'm being, a bit mean with it. I was trying to get a ripe one earlier. I searched far and wide. None of them were quite ready yet. But hopefully tomorrow or the day after, we can enjoy that together, family. And now it's bruised. Anyway, yes, the Guacharaca is a wicked sort of percussion layer that you can use over your drums. But what I've done in this video is I've made it into a vital bass, which is a very, very different kind of sounding bass that I've ever made before, because it's very rhythmical and percussive. It does have a nice bass tone to it as well, so it's almost like a shaker and a bass, like in one patch. If you guys really want it, if you like it, I'll drop it down in Discord, or I'll leave it in the YouTube comments as a download or something like that. But yeah, I think it's quite a cool bass, so let's jump into how I made it. Alright then, my G's, so here's the Guacharaca bass, and I hope I'm saying that right. Let me play you what it sounds like with the drums, with all the processing on. I hope you will like it. Sounds pretty cool to me. Let's go. So you can hear it's got this real percussion on, because if I just show you the drums on their own, quite basic kick and snare, a little bit of hats, but this guy, we've got the sound of the Guacharaca in there. And on its own, the sample, yeah, so nice layer on its own with the drums as well. A really cool percussion layer that you could use, something I never thought of before, obviously, until I came to Colombia and started trying to learn what the local traditional instruments are. But yeah, having it sort of morph with a bass as well, yeah, even cooler in my opinion. So let's dive into the vital sound design. So what I've done is I've just FM'd the sample into a sine wave here at -24, but just changed the tone of it a little bit. The Shepherd tone mode is great, and if you bring it all the way to the left, I get these extra harmonics because it's more the sine wave. As you can see, it has more harmonics. You can see there, and together with the sample coming into it, just sounds a bit richer. Yeah, but what's going to make this sound, give it all of its entire harmonics is basically layering up 3 different sine waves and FMing between all of them. So the next one is another sine wave they're all down at -24, but they've all got like different amounts of FM and some different effects on. So this one has the smear mode set on, and we're FMing from oscillator 1. So if I turn this back on here, it's really gritty and dirty. We kind of lost a little bit of the mid-range and replaced it with high-end chaos, but it's going to come back when we add in the third sine wave here from FMing from oscillator 2. Now we've got like a bit of that powerful sine wave back in. And the amounts that I chose for the FM specifically were just done, you know, by ear to taste. I felt like this was a really like aggressive, dirty sound. And although it's a little bit too much, so we're going to do a lot of things in the effects and the filtering section to clean this up and give it more of a nice shape. But already we've got like loads going on. You got that percussive element. You got that kind of you got that low end power with the sine waves, and you've got like a lot of crunchy high end. And there's no actual modulation or anything yet using the LFOs, but they're going to come in next on the filter section. So for the filters then, what I've done is I've added 2 separate ones. And the first one is the main filter really. And this is doing a nice low pass on everything except for oscillator 1. But if I turn that on quickly, you can hear the low pass, what it's doing. Just set to LFO 1, a nice and gentle saw down with a little bit of a curve. But I'm going to take this oscillator 1 back off. This is the main oscillator where the sort of percussion sound is running through in the FM. And so I'm going to leave that sort of running the whole time. But you'll notice that the filter is doing a lot to the other 2 oscillators to shape them. So we've gone from an overly chaotic like frequency mash of sounds to starting to shape, you know, at least sort of half of the frequencies to give it, you know, an actual noticeable kind of rhythm. Okay, so that's that done. And for the oscillator 1, although I didn't want to low pass it the whole way, I did want to give that a bit of movement as well. So I've done a phaser negative here. And if you hear that, it just sort of, it just controls that first oscillator a little bit, you know, but not taking all of the frequencies out. So those are like the main filters, to be quietly honest, my G's. So let's jump on over to the effects. So we're going to be using a total of 6 effects. We're going to be using the distortion, the chorus, the compressor, the EQ, the filter, and the reverb. And there's a specific reason why I'm using all of these ones and how I'm using them all. So make sure you pay attention, because you might learn something that you can use for another separate bass that you're creating that can help. So first up with the distortion, what I've actually done here is I've used it as a filter. So turned on the pre-filter mode here. Put the LFO onto the cutoff, so we've got another sort of low pass filter, but it's also distorting a lot as well. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix back a little bit of this effect on the LFO. So I'm going to turn this all the way to the left. I'm going to take this back a bit more. If I turn that off, essentially I've shaped the sound again a bit more, so it's a little bit more easier on the ears because it's got a bit of that low pass filter in, so you know, chopping out little bits of the high end again. So that's the main thing on that one. Then the chorus, this is really nice actually, does quite a lot, and the voices are set to 16. It's got a quite slow moving of them, and then I've tweaked the position of them with the delay 1 and 2. And then I've also tweaked the depth to make it a little bit closer to home. So what I have here, if I turn it up, maybe about 50%. The depth, when it's high up, it's a bit sort of spread apart from the original sound, but when I bring it back down again, they start to merge together. So there, the chorus is quite close together with the original sound. And I take out a bit of low end using the cutoff here. And what you'll notice is when the spread is up, you take the cutoff up, you haven't quite taken out enough low end. So you bring the spread a little bit to the left, then you can take out a little bit more. So we're just chorusing the high end, and then we're going to mix that in just a little bit. Yeah, so we spread the high end quite naturally. So that's really cool. And the compressor, so this is not using any compression. This is what I am going to call parallel chaos send, parallel distortion. What you do, turn the attack all the way up, turn the release all the way down, and I've had to turn the mix down because it gets really loud. But if I bring it back up for a minute, you know, it really crushes the sound. But if we mix in a bit of that crushed signal, 0.02, just a little bit. It's sort of like a parallel distortion. Imagine you're mixing in like another distorted signal of the bass within to the original bass. That's the word. Yeah, it makes things a bit louder and nicer. EQ, because it's kind of missing a bit of that low mid-range sort of prep body still, because it's very much like a sine wave and chaotic high end. I got to try and get a bit more mid-range into the sound, so that's why I've just boosted a little bit around sort of 155 hertz, boosted up there nicely. Just shaped the mid-range a bit more, giving it a bit more power, and yeah, then it's a little bit more mid-range shaping with a phaser positive filter. This is just mixed in on the LFO as well. Yeah, so just shaping the overall sound a little bit. And then finally, a touch of reverb to finish. Just taking out all the low end, only use the high, tiny bit on the mix. Just to put the space into a little bit of a room. Put the space into a room, put the bass into a space. Space into a room, bass into the space room. Yeah, so that's pretty much the Guacharaca bass in Vital. I've just made sure to also put the glide and legato on so I can go up and down on the bass notes in my MIDI. And yeah, that's about all you can do with Shrimp. So next, let's move on to the post-processing. So all I'm going to do is going to do a little bit of extra processing with a bit of reverb, convolution, and then a bit of extra filtering. So first up, with the convolution reverb, all I'm doing is using a classic kilohertz one here. Stairway, universal, something like that. Just pick one that works with your sound. That's always the trick. You've got to just cycle through them. Yeah, and I've got a nice 22% or so on the mix, and that's softened the high end quite nicely. You know, it's taken down that high end quite naturally. And then I've just done a little bit of filter movement as well on a band pass. So again, you see it sort of, there's not really much high end when the band pass is activated. So if it were up all the way, you know, we'd be taking it all out obviously, but I'm going to mix in a bit of that signal. And this is where the bass really comes alive to me, because it's got that extra mid-range punchiness and movement that it was lacking a slight little bit before. And the rhythm is the same as what I had the LFO on the Vital bass, just 1/4 notes on a ramp down. And yeah, just modulating up a little bit. And again, like I said, I've blended in the whole signal amount, you know. And now that with the drums together. Is your guacamole bass. I mean, your guacharaca bass. Yeah, but I hope you enjoyed it. And let me know if you want the preset. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. As always, make sure you like, subscribe if you're new. because then you won't miss my live streams because I'm pretty spontaneous with them. And yeah, if you want to support me any further, you can check out my shop on my website, get some merch, get some preset packs, or you can also book yourself in for some one-on-one tuition as well via there. And yeah, jump onto Patreon and join the squad on Discord as well if you like. Have a fantastic rest of your day/evening wherever in the world you are. Big ups to all of you from Colombia. We love D&B here, and this is a D&B channel, so we all love D&B, and it doesn't matter where we're from, so let's just enjoy it. Peace.